In this video, I'll be discussing the XIM Tile Doc. Purchased the Tile Doc at Sherwin-Williams for $38. Normally, it is $50. It comes as two parts, part A on the left and part B on the right. In this process, you have to mix both cans together in an equal ratio. If you mix too much of part A together, you will result in a film that is too brittle. But if you mix too much part B, it will result in a film that is too soft. In order to do this properly, I got at Lowe's a mixing cup, shown on the right. That way I can equally measure out. During this process, it's very important to wear a mask to protect you against the fumes. You will also need a fine bristle brush in order to apply. During this video, I will be using the XIM Tile Doc on a shower base in my basement. It had previously been painted multiple times and required some sanding. Okay, so here is the shower base. I've already cleaned it, rinsed it out, and dried it out. I have also removed the drain cap so that the product will be able to cover all areas without having anything interfering with it, making a solid bond with the base. After we apply 2 coats, I will put that base back in a couple of days once the product is fully dry. Our next step is to use a xylene base solution. It's a slow dry solvent which will help get any contaminants left in. For this step, you want to make sure that you do not use any mineral spirits, turpentine, or solvents that will leave an oily residue. Oily residues will make sure that the product does not adhere correctly. You want to make sure you use a lint-free rag. I'm using a microfiber rag and the xylene, and I will wipe it out. Our next step is to mix part A and part B into equal parts. As you can see, the consistency of this stuff is extremely thick. The can is practically sideways and it's barely pouring out. So I'm right at 4 ounces. Then we grab part B and mix in an additional 4 ounces. Part B is liquid. Okay, so this is 1 coat on the edges. You want to make sure that you put it on very, very thin at first. I put it on a little too thick and had to go back over and retouch up some areas. Brush over everything in order to get it to evenly spread out. This stuff seems to level itself off, but when you're painting on verticals, it will want to run if you put too much on there. So use very little. This is what it looks like after 1 coat. I am honestly pretty impressed with the way it's turned out. It was a little more difficult to work with. You ended up having to brush over and over and over again, but on the first coat, that is to be expected. There are little imperfections in certain areas. The corners were difficult. All of those should be covered up on the second coat. I'm getting ready to start on the second coat. This is approximately 3 hours after I put on the first coat. It's still really tacky and extremely soft. I'm using the same paint that I used before. I still had about 4 ounces left after the first coat. So all I did was covered it up. So this is after the second coat. I have only used my original mix-up of 8 ounces, which is approximately a quarter of the kit. The finished appearance looks nice, but I am uncertain if I'm going to need a third coat or not. Coverage looks great in most areas. There were some air bubbles that are visible upon closer look, which I'm hoping will evaporate. After the second coat, I can honestly say that I am very impressed with the product, but I am still waiting to see what the finished product will be. I ended up having to do a third coat because there were a couple areas that I feathered out a little too thin. This is 12 hours afterwards, and the product is finally dry. Okay, so this is the finished product. This is approximately 2 weeks after I finished painting it. The product came out really nice. I'm pretty happy with it considering it's just downstairs basement. What you need to be careful of is doing verticals. This is originally for tiles and tubs. I would not paint onto the vertical surfaces with the paintbrush. If I was going to do vertical surfaces, I would try to use the aerosol spray can that they have and put on multiple, very light layers. One thing I noticed when painting the vertical surfaces was that it had an avalanche effect. You could paint it, and in about 15 minutes it looked great. About an hour later, the whole thing slid down. So you get some runs and streaks, and I'll show some pictures to go along with that. As far as its durability, it seems to be extremely durable. The mixture that I used worked perfectly. It's very hard. There's no soft spots whatsoever. I would definitely recommend using this product if the surface that you're doing is not a main surface or you are on a tight budget. Gives you a nice finish, but you can tell that it's not a professional finish. So if you're picky on your appearance of your tubs or tiles, be leery. From what I've read online, that this is the best product out there. I didn't hear many good things about Rust-Oleum or the other products out there that cost under $100. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it's been informative. If you like this video, subscribe to my YouTube page, and you will see some upcoming projects that I will be doing. Please feel free to leave comments or suggestions in the comment box below. I will do my best to answer any questions. Thanks again for watching.